2 New Zealand flights have been struck by lightning this afternoon on a wild day of weather in parts of the country. A Jetstar flight from Auckland to Wellington was hit soon after taking off, while a Qantas flight from Sydney to Wellington was also struck near the capital. Parts of the country have been hit by snow, rain and hurricane-strength winds, damaging trees, causing power outages and sending trampolines flying. But the weather in the south now looks to be easing as the cold front moves up the country. Maja Burry reports.
It was a busy night for fire crews in Canterbury overnight, with more than 50 weather-related call-outs, as winds gusting up to 160 kilometres an hour swept through the region. 2 people were injured after a tree fell on a car just south of Christchurch last night, but Fire Service Shift Commander Tim Reynolds says by this afternoon things were settling down.
The main calls coming in were reports of trees down over roadways, power lines arcing and also power lines down on the ground, and we had 1 or 2 calls to trampolines that had blown out of sections and onto the road.
Orion says a number of its lines were damaged by the weather in the region, cutting power to about 3,000 overnight, with about 1,600 properties still going without. Further down south in Otago, temperatures dropped as low as 0 degrees. Past president for Federated Farmers Otago, Stephen Quarterweg, says farmers in his region always brace themselves for a cold blast during lambing season and had coped well with the weather.
Normally they always talk about, they call it the lamb killer, and normally sometime in September you get a storm that will come through, and it has. You haven't heard as yet of any big losses, but as I say, farmers are reasonably well prepared for it because they listen pretty closely to the weather forecast nowadays.
Huge swells stopped shipping between the Cook Strait today, and a number of alpine passes and major roads across the country were forced to close due to snowfall. Properties in the North Island were also left without power, with the Taranaki and Waikato region the worst affected. Met Service meteorologist Peter Little says while things were easing for the South Island, the weather system was now hitting the north.
Over the lower South Island, things have gradually improved. The showers are becoming fewer and fewer and also lighter. Winds are also easing over the lower South Island, but for the North Island, we've still seen snow showers continuing about the Rimataka Hill Road, also about the Desert Road, and it's been bitterly cold in many places.
Mr Little says many places across the country will see fine weather over the weekend. In Christchurch for Checkpoint, Maja Burry.